What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to dive into the breaking news. As you can see here, the Giants reworking the contract of their cornerback, Adoree Jackson, creating nearly $6 million in cap space. But before I dive more into that, make sure to check us out on all social media platforms, including Instagram, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at Big Blue Avenue on the New York football. It's crazy through the midst of creating all these NFL draft prospect videos and going through some film. The Giants are still making roster moves to try to get salary cap healthy for this month's upcoming NFL draft. So now I'll talk a little bit about the Adoree Jackson news. So this morning, reported first by Field Yates, to my knowledge, the Giants reworked Adoree Jackson's salary for the 2022 season. What the Giants did, they converted $8.965 million, so about $9 million of Adoree Jackson's contract into a signing bonus. And there was a void year added, including 2024. This move in itself created this $5.98 million cap space. So the Giants are now around $7 million under the cap for 2022. They need to free up about another $9 million to pay for the 2022 draft class. Now, what does this mean for the future of Adoree Jackson and the Giants? Well, Adoree Jackson's 2023 cap hit will go up. Originally, it was around $16 million. Now, this should increase his cap hit to $19.5 million for 2023 with a $3 million dead money charge in the void year. That void year, I believe, is 2024. Jackson only signed a 3-year deal, so now there's $3 million in dead money backed up into 2024. Again, this is not the ideal scenario for the New York Giants and Joe Schoen, but unfortunately they were put in this position due to the salary issue that Schoen walked into, taking this job as general manager of the New York Giants. Jackson does have a potential opt-out after this year. That is one of the things about his contract that some people may not know. Even though it's a 3-year deal, it's really only a 2-year deal. He would have to opt in to year 3 of his contract with the Giants. But the fact that they're doing this, it's looking more and more likely that Adoree Jackson will stay with the Giants in 2023, which is good news for Giants fans. Jackson's only 27 years old. He's great in man defense. I really like him a lot, and he's pivotal in Wink Martindale's scheme. I couldn't stress this enough. And it's just very interesting to talk about what Adoree Jackson brings to the table. In 2021, he was very reliable in man coverage, only gave up about 54.5 catch percentage, which is very good for a corner, only allowed 131 yards in man coverage and just 19 yards after the catch. So, it's interesting because a lot of people are saying, well, is James Bradberry coming back? What does this move mean for James Bradberry? I don't know yet. I'm going to get into that in just a few moments. But one more thing on Jackson I want to bring up. The Giants could have saved $12 million by releasing Jackson next year. Now that will no longer be the case. I do think Jackson will be on this roster heading into 2023. So now that the Giants are at $7 million under the cap, the 2022 draft class will cost roughly $16 million. So the Giants need to clear up about another $9 million in cap space before they pay these NFL draft picks. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Giants can resource this money. And one contract that is still staring Joe Schoen in the face is James Bradberry's, right? Now that Adoree Jackson is pretty much locked to be on this team for the next 2 seasons, will Bradberry come back for 2022? We all know trading or releasing him will free up about $12 million in cap space. Alternatives, right? So if the Giants keep Bradberry, what could they do? Well, they could trade back in the draft so that the draft class won't cost as much. They could backload Leonard Williams, which is something I really don't want the Giants to do, but they could. And that 3-year, $63 million contract he got, it's not going to look as bad in a couple of years when you see what some of these other guys are making. I mean, look, Austin Johnson, his contract with the Chargers, almost making $7 million a year. his production is not really even close to Leonard Williams' production. So I find this interesting, right? I think you could also extend James Bradberry by 1 year to even out some of the money there. But I think that's unlikely. It's certainly possible, but I think it's unlikely. I think restructuring Adoree Jackson's contract gives Joe Schoen and the Giants a little bit of leverage as far as dealing with James Bradberry because they're open to keeping Bradberry on the roster. I still don't know if it's a sure thing that he's going to stay with the football team, but this does tell us that, hey, there's a chance Bradberry might stick around in 2022. I'm just not so sure how they're going to make that work. My prediction still is that Bradberry will be traded before the draft, but who knows, right? That would give the Giants $12 million. So if they trade James Bradberry, they would be at around $19 million in cap. They'd have $16 million towards the draft class, and they'd have about $3 million left over. So not terrible. Look, the bottom line is Joe Schoen has backloaded about $10 million in salaries between Graham Gano and Adoree Jackson. Not two things you really want to do, but again, he really didn't have a choice, right? He's not so sure if maybe he's not getting the return that he wants on a James Bradberry trade. Maybe he wants more value in James Bradberry, right? I don't think the Giants are going to just release him. I think they have to move him though. But Adoree Jackson is essential in Wink Martindale's defensive scheme in 2022. Folks, before I go here, make sure to go check out our sponsor, BetUS. You can sign up with our promo code there below at Join125. Get a 125% sign-up bonus up to $2,500 where you can bet on your mobile device, get quick, fast live payouts on the go, anywhere, anytime. America's #1 favorite sportsbook, BetUS, where the game begins. So, folks, what do you think of this move by the Giants? Did the Giants make the right decision here to rework Adoree Jackson's contract? Would you have done something else? Would you not have done this? I want to know what you think in the comments section below. Really appreciate all the support we've gotten with all our videos. And without further ado, let's go Big Blue.